Sacco and Feliz, New York and New Jersey's premier attorneys at law. Their team brings decades of experience across a wide range of practice areas. Whatever life brings, they're your legal team. From everyday matters to complex cases, they've got you covered with the experience you need and the results you want. Because when life gets complicated, they make it simple. SaccoFeliz.com. SaccoFillas.com. 2 C's, 2 L's.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, a deal. President Trump in the 11th hour. It was supposed to be 8 p.m. Eastern time that all hell was going to rain down on Iran. And it definitely would have with President Trump. You know it. They were planning to hit the power plants. They were planning to hit bridges. They were planning a full, all-out pummeling of Iran. They had all the positions in place, all the military assets in place. And then the Pakistanis came through and said, we have a deal that Iran is coming to the table. So the big question tonight, as we're hearing that there's some 2-week ceasefire, it is a double-sided ceasefire. President Trump says they will not attack Iran and that Iran will not attack America, assets anywhere in the region, will not attack Israel, will not attack its Arab neighbors, will not do any of that. So the question is, how real is this? I give President Trump a lot of credit. He continues to try to negotiate, even up until the 11th hour. And there's obviously something in this deal that gives President Trump hope that maybe it's legitimate. Maybe it also buys the U.S. military some time to reconfigure in the area. Maybe he says, okay, I'll just give one last shot. Maybe they can open up the Strait of Hormuz. Even if it opens up for a few days, we can get a whole bunch of ships through, and that'll do at least some short-term alleviation. And even if in 2 weeks from now, I have to pound Iran back to kingdom come, maybe that is what's going to happen. So I'm very skeptical, not because of President Trump. I'm very skeptical because I just don't trust Iran. I applaud President Trump for what looks like the outlines of a deal. I applaud that he's still continuing to listen to different parties. And I applaud that he's still trying to figure out some way to make this happen. But I also don't think that he needs to back off on any of his demands. Obviously, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Obviously, there has to be free flow of oil and ships and everything through the Strait of Hormuz indefinitely. Obviously, they got to get rid of their ballistic missile launchers. And I'd like to see a regime change. I know President Trump says that's never been the agenda in the cards, but they've come this far. And I just was listening to my friend General Jack Keane. And he was saying that he also believes at some point it's going to go back to a military strategy, that at some point he believes that they will have to, quote, finish the job. But at least I give President Trump for chance for trying. Let's see. Let's see what the next 2 weeks brings. Maybe Iran will break it within hours. There's reports tonight that missiles are still flying in Israel and also some of the Arab countries that's coming from Iran. You could maybe say that maybe not everybody in the Iranian chain of command got the message or was told to back off, or maybe there's even disputes within the chain of command. One group's negotiating with Trump and the other group doesn't want to negotiate with Trump. So it's a little unclear sort of where all this is going. But at least I applaud President Trump for trying. And he put out the big statement just a little bit ago, guys, saying, quote, based on the conversations he had with the prime minister there of Pakistan and also the field marshal, he says they requested I hold off on the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Again, subject to that. I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. And then he says this will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all our military objectives, are very far along with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. And then he talks about a 10-point proposal that he has gotten from Iran. So where is all this going? What a big news night. And remember, it was just last night that President Trump said we could easily take out and rain down hell on Iran. Take a listen. This is what he said last night.
Well, at a level that nobody's ever seen before. The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night. Both members of the crew ejected from the aircraft and landed alive.
And he was also talking there about the two airmen, of course, that did get out alive, which he says was a complete embarrassment to Iran because it could show that they could go there, get them out, and continue the mission. And then he also talked yesterday about the destruction that could happen. And he said that the people of Iran were willing to have more pounding of key locations if it would mean a good ending to the future of Iran. Take a listen to this.
You've said Iranians would be mad if you stopped these attacks, but why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure, to cut off their power? Wouldn't that be punishing Iranians for the actions of the regime?
They would be willing to, and it's suffering, they would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back. These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot.
And he is correct that those people are begging for America's help. So what does this mean for the people of Iran tonight? And do you think that this, quote, ceasefire, this 2-week ceasefire, again, subject to them opening the Strait of Hormuz, is this a decoy? Is this a genuine look towards peace? Is it President Trump saying, look, maybe I'll get a few vessels through the Strait of Hormuz that will help with oil prices and the like? And then maybe we go back to square one because maybe they're going to break it within a day or two or three. I have no faith in Iran. And I also have no faith in the Democratic Party because through all of this, where are they tonight coming out? They should be coming out and cheering and saying, wow, this is so great. But instead, they're still criticizing President Trump. They were essentially saying they needed the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump, that there should be some push within the administration to get rid of the crazy man who actually wanted peace in the Middle East. They weren't pushing for the 25th Amendment when Joe Biden was the president. That was fine to have a president who was essentially in a coma. That was fine by them. But President Trump, who wants to get rid of one of the most tyrannical regimes in world history, they have a problem with that because it's Trump, 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 Trump. Well, listen to Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland and the way he is describing President Trump.
I want to get your reaction to President Trump's new threat that, quote, a whole civilization will die tonight.
Well, Laura, we have a completely unhinged president who is threatening massive war crimes against the Iranian people. As you know, someone in the White House said he was, quote, bloodthirsty, like a mad dog. And we should all be speaking out, including Republicans, to make it clear that this war was a mistake from day one and that the president needs to stop. Ultimately, the Congress needs to make sure that we don't provide any additional funding for this illegal war of choice. But let me just say the president has lied through his teeth from the beginning. He lied when he said he was going to keep America out of foreign wars. He apparently lied 3 weeks ago when he said we won. If we won 3 weeks ago, what the hell is he doing now?
Is there anything that Chris Van Hollen can find that's redeeming of President Trump, again, going after this tyrannical regime? There is no sense of gratification and no sense of applauding America. I mean, this guy, for him to say, oh, how dare President Trump make these threats to Iran, to the nice, sweet Iran, essentially. If he wasn't tough with Iran, they wouldn't be trying to come somewhat to the peace table. Let's just be realized. I mean, is this guy stupid? Is he truly stupid? Is Van Hollen and a lot of these Democrats out there, are they absolutely stupid that they think somehow that Iran's miraculously going to come to the peace table because what, you send $1.7 billion of unmarked bills in the middle of the night and pallets of cash like Obama did? That didn't help. Are you kidding me? The only thing that they understand in the region is force. And the threat of force may be the only thing that will get this regime to buckle. And yet, you got Van Hollen, who is stupid as stupid can be, or dangerous as dangerous can be. And he's also crying about war crimes, saying President Trump took out that bridge. That was a couple days ago. Remember, that was a great message to Iran. We can hit a lot more, too. Remember, we know where all your key assets are. We'll hit your power plants. We'll hit the rest of your bridges. He clearly sent a message. Israel also, by the way, took out 8 bridges in the last few hours, saying that they're used for military transport. Sorry, fair game. And here is Professor Alan Dershowitz saying that all these Democrats that are saying war crimes, war crimes, war crimes, they just don't know what they're talking about.
Well, it's total nonsense that any of this comes even close to being war crimes. I just saw, the former advisor to the president, military advisor to the Democrat president on television saying it's a war crime, it's a war crime. Let me be very clear. I'm an expert in this. I've been teaching this. I've been writing about it for years. Attacking the industrial base of a country to defeat them militarily has been done since the first beginning of wartime back 3,000 years ago. You cannot name a war in which a country didn't try to destroy the industrial base of a country. Half of our activity in the Second World War was attacking business, attacking industry, attacking the ability of the country to continue to function. That's the way wars are fought. Now, you got a couple of academics sitting at ivory towers at Harvard and Yale who don't know anything about this, who are saying, well, you can't attack anything that's civilian. Yes, you can, if it helps them win the war, and if by attacking them you can encourage peace and encourage the end of the war. It's not a war crime, and it's just nonsense to say it is. What you're doing is you're saying every single country in history has been guilty of war crimes, which means that no one's guilty of war crimes. Now, there is one country here that's guilty of war crimes, Iran. Nobody seems to be talking about that. They bomb buildings. They killed a family named Gershowitz in Haifa 2 nights ago or last night. I didn't even know if they're related to me, but they target civilians, and then they take individual kids and say, line up on a bridge and become human shields. Those are war crimes. But attacking the industrial base of a country to bring it to its knees is conventional warfare. You don't have to simply attack guns and rockets. You can attack their ability to wage war through their industries.
I said this last night to you guys, all's fair in love and war. And had President Trump not be threatening to send Iran back to the Stone Age, they'd never even attempt to come to the peace table, which is what at least it looks like they're doing tonight. And let's hope it's genuine. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And we will take your calls when we come back here on The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Rita Cosby Show.
Well, Trump is going to see if Iran is legit. He's not going to forget about it, and I do not think he will let them slide. But for all those people out there that say, oh, Trump's a warmonger, what are they talking about? Let's go to Jeff in Jersey City, New Jersey. Jeff, you're here on the Rita Cosby Show. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hello, Rita. Thank you. Listen, I don't like the ceasefire. The Tehran Muslim clerics, they can't be trusted. How many times do we have to go through this with them? But I don't trust Pakistanis either. We have two major goals, and there's plenty of evidence to endorse what I said about Pakistan. Major goals, that is, we got to take the uranium, as they said, open the straits, and then Trump, forget about this agreement. Trump should start the bombing, a surprise attack now. We are giving Tehran more time, Rita, to kill more Americans. That's what we're doing.
Well, you know what's interesting, Jeff? Jeff, hold on one sec. You know what? I thought the same thing. I thought, like, maybe this is a bit of a deep fake. Who knows? Maybe he knows that they're not going to live up to the deal, and he knows this is just gives them another maybe day or two to move particular military assets. I'm talking about the U.S. Because the one thing I don't like that it gives 2 weeks to Iran. Maybe there's some other strategy going on that we're not aware of, right, Jeff? That could be. You could be right on the money.
So do you think Trump's thinking like we're thinking like, I'm not going for this again, and he's going to repair? They don't deserve a reasonable, signal, a warning. Okay, we're ready to fire. No, they don't deserve that. They have already, they have no honor. So, and then one last thing I want to say to you, Rita, about some of the people, especially the Democrats in our country, that they are fighting, they are rooting for the enemy. That includes Lenny, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Tucker Carlson. They're all traitors. They hate Jews. They hate Israel. And you know what? How did our country ever become like this?
I'll tell you, it's heartbreaking to see a number of those people that you mentioned that seem to be, I agree, anti-American, seem to be undermining United States, undermining the president. And I think we should all be rooting for him and for success, because I've called this a righteous mission. It really is. And I know you understand that, Jeff. The one thing that I think Trump is doing, I think maybe he sees that there's some genuineness of their efforts, and I'll give them one more shot. But the minute they break this, we will go full throttle. I don't think President Trump in any way is naive, but I also think he would love for all of these goals to have been reached peacefully. I mean, I think the whole world would. If there could be, obviously, a removal of the uranium, an opening of the strait, freedom for the people of Iran, no more attacks on their neighbors. All of that would be a good thing. I think we all agree to that. But if they violate it, they will be in the Stone Age.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Brookhaven, New York, where Suffolk County Police saved a 15-year-old who was trapped in the mud while trying to leave a national wildlife refuge. The teen, his name was Benjamin Moore, went for a nature walk, and he said he'd been out for a walk in the woods and couldn't find his way back after dark. And then stepping into an offshoot of the river, he was caught up in the sinking mud and became trapped in it. Realizing that he was sinking into the mud and couldn't free himself, thankfully he was able to use his mobile phone and to call 911. So aviation sector officers deployed a helicopter to assist in locating the trapped teenager. Officers flew over a search route over the river while Benjamin Moore remained on the line with the 911 operator. Benjamin was directed to use the light on his cell phone to signal the police helicopter as soon as he heard them approach the area he was in. Wow. Well, upon locating the subject, emergency officers then on the ground found their way to Benjamin, who was successfully pulled out and rescued from the muddy waters, taken to a local hospital for evaluation, and is expected to make a full recovery. Well, there is some election news, breaking news tonight coming from the election desk.
Breaking news.
This just in, Republicans dash Democratic hopes of trying to get an upset victory in Georgia. It was the seat of former firebrand, of course, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene for her old congressional seat. And it was a Republican hopeful, Clay Fuller, a former prosecutor, and he beat a Democrat who was hoping to unseat him. The AP called the race just a little bit ago. And at that time, Fuller was leading Harris, who was the guy on the Democratic side, Sean Harris. He was defeating him by 54 to 46%. So the Republican seat stays in Republican hands. That is good news for the GOP. And also it will help bump up their very slim margin already, but it makes it now 219 congressmen that are Republican, and also 214 Democrats in the House. A lot of times these special elections sometimes could go either way because there are a lot of times it's low turnout. So that is good news for the Republican Party that it stays in Republican hands. Well, the Democrats, meantime, are trying anything they can. There are new polls that show that their favorability is hitting an all-time low and that Republicans are doing better with favorability. Maybe the American public is seeing through this whole anti-Trump ruse. Come up with policies of your own. Their whole policies are just bashing Trump. And he can't do anything right. He said, okay, I'm trying to get rid of this terrorist regime. Now, that's a bad thing. I'm trying to bomb them to submission. Oh, that's terrible. I guess you're supposed to have just terrorists stay there and wreak havoc on the world. Well, listen to Congressman Ro Khanna, Democrat of California. And this is when he thought that Trump tonight was going to launch that 8 p.m. deadline that, of course, as I mentioned, now it looks like there's a temporary pause. It may be a lasting pause or it may be a very short-lived pause. We'll see. Depending what the Iranians do or what they don't do. If they don't open the Strait of Hormuz, I bet you President Trump will say, see ya. Okay, you will go to the Stone Age. And even the threat that he was thinking about going after bombs or power plants, as you heard from Professor Dershowitz, that always happens in times of war. I was in Kosovo. I've been covered a lot of bombings, you guys, and wars. Oftentimes there's no power. Oftentimes that's what happens because guess what? The military uses it for infrastructure. It uses it for transportation. It uses it for power. Anything that could be used by the military, by the regime, is fair game. You heard it from Professor Dershowitz. So here is Ro Khanna, Democrat of California, saying what Trump was doing was, whoa, really crossing the line. And it's not nice to do mean things to that sweet terrorist group in Iran.
Would you be okay, though, with leaving Iran without the Strait of Hormuz being reopened? President Trump has set that deadline for Monday, saying there are going to be significant consequences if it's not reopened.
Let me tell you what won't reopen the Strait of Hormuz: threatening war crimes of bombing indiscriminately power plants, cursing at Iran. What we need is statesmanship like President Obama had. What we need to do is to stop the bombing, have a ceasefire, and then to work with Oman, to work with China, to work with the Gulf allies and European allies to have a solution to allow Hormuz to be open. But it's not going to happen by massive escalation.
Is there?
Boy, was that guy wrong. Boy, did that soundbite not age well. Because it was clearly the threat of escalation. It was clearly the threat of Trump taking a very hard line with Iran, that they got it and said, oh, this guy's crazy. There's a very good chance that he's going to follow through with what he's about to. And we can't allow that to happen. At least got them to pause for a little bit. Do you think? And then he brings up Obama as the example, you guys. I just had to laugh. I was laughing through that whole thing. You've got to be kidding me. Obama's the beacon of how to deal with Iran. What, sending those hidden pallets of cash in the middle of the night? What a joke. That was appeasement. And they used that to funnel their war machine, which brutalized and murdered 45,000 of their own people. What a disgrace. Here's a little bit more from Congressman Ro Khanna, because then he went further. Then he said we need to invoke the 25th Amendment to try to remove Trump, that someone within the administration has to say, oh, he's not sane. Now, remember, during Biden years, none of them said that he was incompetent. He was spry as a cat, remember, until the whole world saw him in the debate. And even still, they said, what are you guys talking about? He's so sharp. 25th Amendment. But now with Trump, it's 25th Amendment, impeach, impeach, impeach. Listen to this.
If the United States Congress has any life left in it, every member of Congress and senator must be calling for Trump's removal today based on the 25th Amendment. He is threatening the entire destruction of a civilization. He is calling Iranians animals. He is showing a total disregard for the humanity of people in Iran, in Gaza, in Cuba. This is a moral crime. It is a war crime. We need to be demanding that Congress convene today, and we need to be invoking the 25th Amendment.
And then he said that if the Democrats get control of the House or the Senate or both, Trump will be hauled in right away.
If Democrats win the House and possibly the Senate in November, there's a better than even chance Donald Trump gets impeached again.
Absolutely. He should be impeached now. I mean, he's taken us into a disastrous war, threatening war crimes in Iran in terms of knocking out plants and knocking out electricity. And the Democrats will impeach him once we take back the House, and should impeach him for all the things he's done. And depending on the Senate, he may face conviction if we get to 60.
Isn't that wonderful to look forward to? Let's go to Alice in Ohio. The number to call on the Rita Cosby Show is 1-800-848-9222. Alice, go ahead.
Hi, Rita. You're spot on. All's fair in love and war. And we need to go out after them. We do not know what President Trump knows. He's giving them every chance to do the right thing. They cannot be trusted. I do think that we're going to go after them with the military sooner than later. And he can say, okay, we gave them every last chance. And they need to be taken back to the 13th century, because those radical mullahs and clerics have been living in the 13th century. They'll be quite comfortable where they are there.
You're right. They'll go back home.
Yeah, absolutely. I am tired of this. And this isn't the Tea Party. And the Democrats wouldn't know the truth if they looked at it. And I hope the American people are listening to the babble that they're carrying on. It's not logical. It's all hate. They don't have an original thought. I'm sure that they're given a list of talking points. Okay, you say this, and then they're given a script. It's just Chris Van Hollen. Oh my God, and it leaves you breathless.
It does. It does. Can you believe who was it? Ro Khanna, who I just played too, who said, Alice, that being harsh to Iran is not the way to work it. So I mean, how else are you supposed to deal with tyrants? Coddle up to them, and how does that work? I mean, what school did this guy go to? What foreign policy class did this guy ever take that he thinks not, like anything short of being tough is going to work when you're dealing with tyrants?
Rita, do you remember a school was bombed? Do you remember that in Iran?
Yes.
That school was located in a building where a school should not be. They made defense articles or something like that. But a school, I think, according to the Geneva Convention or something like that, a school should not be in a building like that. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. But that's typical. Look what they're, by the way, look what they're doing right now, Alice. I mean, to reinforce your point about the school, today they were genuinely worried, obviously, that President Trump was going to start hitting bridges and power plants.
Yeah.
And what did they do? They told the women and children to come out and wave flags next to the buildings and power plants. And the reason that's, obviously it's atrocious, but it shows that they will go to any lengths. They put schools in locations near military facilities. It's just like Gaza. Remember in Gaza, they had all the tunnels underneath hospitals, underneath kids' hospitals, because they knew it would be more difficult for the Israelis to bomb it.
They have no respect for life. They'll do anything to win their point.
They will. And that just shows what kind of monsters they are. And I don't know, Alice, I haven't seen any reports showing that the people that are out there on those bridges tonight, that they were told to be out there by the public, if they were told that, okay, Trump is going to bomb this location at 8:00, or because they only have, I think it's like 1% of the population has access to the internet. The other 99% has no idea because they're living in a total blackout because the regime has totally blacked them out from the world. So they may have said, we're doing a nice little festival tonight. Come on out, but these people would do anything. These are monsters, Alice.
Monsters. They're worse than monsters. Do they have these people out there under gunpoint? And you know what? Since the Roman legions, bridges have been destroyed. Anything. So this is nothing new. And I think we're going to wake up some morning and find out overnight we took them out and they're gone. I think it's going to happen sooner than later.
Yeah, you might very well be right. And Alice, that's why I kind of look at this like this might be a bit of a deception decoy by Trump. And maybe knowing, okay, look, I'll give one to the Pakistan prime minister, to the foreign minister. If they're accurate, we'll try it, and just, to appease them, and to others maybe in the Arab community or elsewhere. And if it doesn't work, we're prepared and ready. Like, I'm sure he's not moving any assets out of the area. If anything, he's probably building them up because he's anticipating the last thing he's going to want to do is have this extended, and then it doesn't happen. So if this extends and they break this in any shape or form, and I would say the chances of them breaking it are much more likely than not, then I agree with you, Alice, that they'll probably go in full throttle and pound even more than they ever anticipated. And those targets, like you said, those are fair game targets. And the Democrats know it. They're just being disgusting and undermining America and undermining the world because this Iranian regime has been a threat to the globe. Alice, thank you very much. Let's go to Stan in Forest Hills on line 1. Go ahead, Stan.
Let's talk about a country called Pakistan.
Sure.
As I remember, and I'm make sure I'm correct on that, Rita, didn't we go into Pakistan to get a terrorist named Osama bin Laden, and thank heaven to President Obama for arranging that and getting them out? The question is, I don't trust these guys. I know the Pakistanis have have diplomatic and reasonable relations with Iran, and I believe it's a stall tactic. I think he may approach Trump, and Trump will say, okay, I'll do blah 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 blah. I don't think he knows what he's doing in that regard, but let the army do their thing. But the Pakistanis, we have to be careful with the Pakistanis.
Yeah, you bring up a great point, and I don't trust them necessarily either. They're exactly. The fact that they have diplomatic relations with Iran sort of says it all.
Yeah.
But you're right. We found bin Laden living in that big house.
Yeah.
And not only
they
was
didn't do anything,
right?
They didn't tell the United States nothing.
They didn't say anything, and not only, Stan, was he in Pakistan, he was down the street from their
living
equivalent.
in a nice house.
Yeah, no, and West Point. It was right near like the Pakistan. So,
and nobody knew what was going on.
Right. Right. So it's inconceivable.
So I don't know why he's giving them 2 weeks. That 2 week thing, 72 hours, that's Pakistani. Maybe they're saying we'll get them to go 2 weeks and so on. In 2 weeks, the Iranians can do a lot, as crazy as that may sound, even with their problems. So,
well, that's what concerns me, that who knows what Iran is trying to buy time for. I think obviously Trump is aware of that. But your point about the Pakistanis, these are different leaders, by the way, than the ones who were there during that time, but it still doesn't change the, it's not like
say something about
you don't change the stripes. Right.
Let me tell you something about that Democrat. Now, I'm a Democrat. I love my party. What war crimes? Okay? Now, I want Trump to be impeached, but not for that, for previous stuff. But what war crimes, Congressman? What are you talking about? Were there war crimes in Afghanistan? Were there war crimes in Vietnam? Come on, get real here. I'm
glad to hear you say that, Stan, as a Democrat.
War crimes. What war crimes? Are you going to? I didn't hear the word Israel in that at all.
No, you're right. And listen, their view is obviously they're talking about Trump, the American, with the bombs of the bridge. They're also talking about power plants. And to your point, every war, every adversary does that.
I want them to go even more than that. But the point is, what war crimes? And he said if the Democrats get control, which I hope they do, I'd want him impeached on American situation. What he did
on what?
On the Congress thing when he tried to overthrow the election. That's my main thing. But forget that for a moment. The point is, I don't think they think they're going to bring him up on war crimes for this. That's not going to happen.
It is not going to happen.
And they're going to have to get 60 senators or more in the Senate. I think they may get control, but not that much. That's what I think.
I agree. It's a joke, and it just shows. I think if they're grasping at straws, it's ridiculous. I think your other one is ridiculous too, Stan, but that's for another day. Stan, I love you. We'll continue calls, everybody, after the break. 1-800-848-9222. And you're listening to The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's continue your calls here on the Rita Cosby Show. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Joe in New Jersey. Joe, your thoughts tonight.
Good evening, Rita. It's an honor and a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
I share history with you because my father served in World War II.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
he worked for General Mark Clark in Algeria.
Oh, wow.
And all of his life, he came home and he said, never trust an Arab. They are incapable of negotiating and dealing fairly. Now, there's a lot of history involved in this. We failed in World War II when we didn't let Patton go through Berlin to Moscow. We failed in Korea when we stopped MacArthur from going through North Korea to China. We negotiated a failure in Vietnam. I don't care what anybody says. If you don't win, you lose. And we lost. And I am furious tonight as a MAGA Republican and a financial contributor. I will give no more money and time to those people because the only way to deal with a cancer is to kill it. And they should have French fried those people tonight. I'm sorry to say that. I know people are going to object to that.
Oh, they will. They will for sure, Joe. Now, Joe, let me ask you, the objective, and you know, when you're talking about French frying people, that's a little severe. But Joe, do me a favor. I want to hear your thoughts. We have a hard break here. Will you please stick with us? We've got definitely a little break here, and then I'm going to come back to you because I want to hear your thoughts. I hear what you're saying is that they needed to take it all the way, and they may. I'm not a fan of the French frying the people, though.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here? This is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.